Hi, and welcome to Curry Talks. I'm your host, Alex Nason, and this is a show where we bring on people to learn more about the Curry community. Today, we have Jools Pemberton, someone who works the cashier at the Student Center in the dining hall. So, Jools is here to talk to us about how she likes to connect with students and what her role is at the STU. Jools, thank you for joining us.
Of course.
As many people know, there have been a lot of changes over the summer to the dining hall, including the allergy-free station. What do you think are some of the improvements that have affected it the most?
Well, I think the allergy-free station is huge because you can eat there whether or not you have allergies. And who doesn't like a good stir fry? It's delicious. Lots of options over there. Yeah.
I agree.
It's nice.
Yeah, it's definitely made a big difference, and I think we're going to see more of that. Sort of. I think a lot of students mainly see you at the registers at the dining hall, but what are some of your other roles here at Curry?
Well, I'll jump in and help out with catering when there's big parties. I'm getting a little too old for that, though, but it's all right. I do just about anything back there. I've been at every station I can, except for way in the back. I don't like to cook all the big food.
No, way in the back.
Way in the back. The second line where the two women who make all the food.
Can you talk about what goes into organizing events on campus? Because you have a background in sort of organizing.
So first you need to reserve your room. You need to get in touch with B&G, and you have to figure out your tables, food tables, tables for your guests. Then you have to go to the catering manager, Amber, and get your linens and place your order for food.
Yeah. For many students, you're one of the first phases they become familiar with at Curry. What do you get out of cultivating relationships with students here at Curry?
I just like watching you guys grow. You come in as freshmen and you're scared and you're a bunch of hot messes. And in 4 years, you become productive young adults. It's really something fun to watch.
Right. Some students who know you know that you've been operating your own fried dough business for 30 years now. Mm-hmm. How did you come to own that, and what goes into running it?
So I actually met my ex at a restaurant I was working at, and he put me into debt in the fried dough business so we could spend more time together. That worked out well. Now he's my ex, but we're still very friendly. And it's a lot of work. You have to get permits from every town. You have to get a Board of Health permit from the towns, fire permit, propane permit. So you can't just breeze into town and open the doors and be ready to go.
Right. So as you've been here for many years, I'm sure you've seen many different dishes at the STU. Is there one that you'd consider your favorite?
Well, I don't eat it that much, but I know that the buffalo chicken pasta is a number one amongst all of you. Yeah, that's a big one.
Is there something that you think, anything else you think students talk about a lot?
Ice cream.
Ice cream?
The ice cream and the ice cream flavors.
Have you tried any of them?
I try them all. I do.
Do you have a favorite of those?
We haven't got my favorite in. I'm a Ben & Jerry's fish food.
That's fair.
Yeah. But we have a lot of close seconds.
For sure. Does a lot go into operating that?
No, it's not bad.
All right.
Karen orders the ice cream. She does a good job with the flavors.
That's great.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for your time, Jools. We are just about out of time. If you want to know anything more about Jools or what she does here at Curry, she'd be happy to tell you if you see her at the registers. I've been Alex Nason. Thank you for joining us on another edition of Curry Talks.
Welcome to another edition of Curry Talks. I'm your host, Quinn Sullivan, and this is the program where we learn more about the Curry community. Today I'm joined by head football coach Todd Parsons. Thank you, Todd, for coming on today.
I appreciate you having me.
So This year was your second season here as the head football coach. You came from Endicott, winning a league conference championship your last year there. How would you describe the growth of your team now from your first season into your second, into your third now?
Yeah, I think that's the big discussion for us right now as a team, and what we're looking at is, I think, you pull from a lot of different places as a coach, leading up to, things that you like and things you didn't like. And I learned a lot, from prior coaches that I worked for and seen it be successful, and you try to implement some of those things in your own way here. It is a process, right? There's no doubt about that, as we know. But definitely starting to see the certain changes, right, in different things. And I think there's a lot of things that go on off the field, right, that people maybe don't see. Yeah, right. We were talking in the back there, but it's even from an academic side of things, right? The team GPA of being over 3.0 last semester, in the first time in 20 years, right? There's things that go into winning, right, more than just what happens on the field, and I think we're continuing to take those steps.
So leaving Endicott, obviously winning a league championship your last year, what stood out to you here at Curry that made you want to end up here?
Yeah, so I found out about Curry back in 2010 when I got my first full-time job as the offensive coordinator at Salve Regina, and coached in this conference for 3 years. And at that point in time, Curry was, on their run of, 37 conference, straight wins, 5 conference championship, national playoffs, and national playoffs wins. And it was like, how do we beat Curry? And you start to see the tides change a little bit. Then circle back when I got to Endicott. You even look at our, my last year there when we did win the championship. Curry was a game that we maybe should have lost, right, at the end. And it was always a tough team, right, regardless. When you look at programs for your first head coaching job, I had a list, and Curry was always on that list. And the familiarity, one, with Curry from coaching at 2 other schools in the conference and going against them was a big help. But knowing that winning can be done at a high level, and that it has been done, shows that it can be done.
So there's a lot of coaches on the coaching staff, big team. What goes into recruiting across the board through all coaches, even players getting involved with recruiting now?
Yeah. So recruiting is a year-round process. As soon as we finished, pretty much with our class from last year, the current freshmen, we were out on the road as coaches and going into high schools, getting transcripts and getting film on current juniors. Those guys are now seniors, and then you go see them at camps. And then you're following up and watching their senior film. Now we will be going back out on the road here, and then also having guys visit campus. And as you are aware yourself, is our players are our best ambassadors, right? When parents and prospects step on campus, right, it's not so much us as coaches selling the program in the school, but our players, right, being able to have honest conversations with them and give them a really good insight of what it's going to take, right, to be a student athlete at the college level. But it is a year-round process.
So last question I got for you today. So I understand that you're actually more than a football coach, that you're going to be teaching a class next semester?
Yeah. I was approached to teach a course for the coaching minor, which I minored in coaching in college, and I thought it was a great deal. But I also think it's a way to maybe connect more to just the football, team, and have an opportunity to kind of, even step outside my comfort box, and maybe build a connection with more of the student body.
Yeah. All right. Well, that's all the time we have here for today. Yeah. Thank you, Coach, for joining me. To check out the football team, you can visit Curry Athletics or on Instagram, Twitter at Curry Football. Thank you for watching another edition of Curry Talks. I'm your host, Quinn Sullivan. Thank you.
Hi, and welcome to Curry Talks. I'm your host, Alex Nason, and today we're going to have another episode where we bring on someone from the Curry community to talk about their experience. Today we have with us Sergeant Tim Sullivan from the Public Safety Office. Tell us what it's like at the experience, to have this experience. I want to ask you, Sergeant, what drew you to Curry College?
So I've always had a strong interest in law enforcement. It comes from my family. It comes from a father of law enforcement. I ended up starting my career at Stonehill College. I did 4 years at Stonehill College as a campus police officer there. And like I said, then I ended up coming here. An opportunity came available at Curry College. I applied here and it seemed like a good fit for me.
That makes sense. How do you think Stonehill compares to Curry in terms of experience?
So they're very similar, actually. They're both small private colleges. Like I said, they're both they both have enclosed campuses.
Yeah.
So they have a lot of similarities.
And they're really close to each other too.
They are.
I was wondering, because you've been working here for 8 years, correct?
I just started my 8th year in September. Yes.
Yeah. So I was wondering, what made you stay here at Curry?
So it's the community, really, to be honest with you. Like I said, I really enjoy working with the Curry College community. The students here are what keeps me here. Like I said, seeing the progression as students come in as freshmen and then progress as they then move forward and then move on to graduate and become successful in their careers is what makes it worthwhile.
I get what you mean. I know you work a lot of night shifts. How does that usually go? What's that entail?
So I'm currently assigned as the night shift supervisor. So my regular shift is from 11 p.m. to 7 a.m. So that's my regular shift throughout the week. Oftentimes I'm here, for overtime, covering other shifts as well. But like I said, the overnight shifts, are a little different than others. Most of the time, people are sleeping. People are, it's a lot of, building checks, responding to medical calls. Just as needed. Like you said, you never know. Like I said, on the weekends it's parties. It's the we do what we got to do to make sure the community's safe.
How long have you been doing the night shifts?
So I was reassigned to the night shift back in August. Prior to that, I was on the evening shift for the previous time here at Curry.
Between the different kinds of shifts, because there's like evening, morning, overnight, do you have a favorite kind of shift to do?
So my personal preference is the evening shift, the 3 p.m. to 11 p.m., which is the shift that I was on previously. It gave me the most opportunity to interact with the community. Like I said, during the daytime, it's students are in class. There's a lot of different activities going on. They go off campus to jobs and so on and so forth. In the evening time is when I found the most opportunity to be able to interact with students.
And it sounds like you get along really well with the Curry community.
Like I said, it takes a village, like I said, and I believe that that I have to engage the community, and that respect is earned; it's not given.
Yeah.
Like I said, so I believe that I have to do my part and to go out and engage the community, to show people that I am a member of the community as well, and that I'm approachable if they need me.
Yeah. On that note, I was wondering, in your time here at Curry, do you have a most memorable moment?
So a lot of them actually. Like I said, one of the last year, like I said, we had a student that that I ended up mentoring, was an intern of mine. We ended up hiring in our department, as a public safety officer, as an entry-level public safety officer. That young man actually moved forward, and he left us to pursue a further opportunity outside of Curry, the better opportunity.
Do you know where he went?
He's going through the background phase for a police department in the state of Rhode Island.
Oh, that's exciting.
So
I want to change it over to a question that doesn't usually get asked. But what are snow days usually like?
Snow days, so for us, it's it's working in conjunction with facilities, buildings, and grounds. Like I said, if the college makes it its determination that the college is going to close, it's going to be a delayed opening. We work in conjunction with them to make sure that the vehicles on campus are moved. That if there's areas on campus that need priority attention, such as areas of ice, so on and so forth, and we collaborate with buildings and grounds to all of a sudden generally make sure that the campus is safe. But again, our primary role is obviously relocating vehicles on campus and making sure students put them where they're supposed to go.
All right. Well, thank you so much for finding time in your schedule to come and talk with us. That's all the time we have for today. I'm your host, Alex Nason. Thank you, Sergeant Sully, for coming on. That's going to be all for today. Come back again for another edition of Curry Talks.
Hello, and welcome to Curry Talks. I'm Thomas Crisafili, and this is the show where the Curry community learns more about each other. Today's guest is Jonah Cowan, and we're here to discuss a local club on campus called Nerd Empire. This local club has members partake in a variety of activities, including playing games, critiquing films, and engaging in lightsaber duels. The club started back up in the fall of 2022 after being around years earlier. Today, it meets on Tuesdays at 9 p.m. in the Learning Commons. Jonah, can you give us an overview of the key games you play?
Yeah, we can play a bunch of different things. People keep bringing in new games, new card games, new tabletop games. A current favorite right now is a game that our co-president made up completely, and we call it Cards of Insanity. And it's just an RPG using a standard deck of 52 playing cards. And what happens during the game get completely varied depending on the day, depending on how she's feeling. So we do that. We do a lot of tier list making, different franchise characters. The ranking order changes every day, changes every meeting, and we all get a really big kick out of that. We've done comparisons of very niche movies and quotes and characters. We've done, surveys, and we've done a game called GeoGuessr, where you have to guess different places on the planet. But there's no limit to the stuff that we've done. We've completely just crossed the board in terms of player count, difficulty, but it's open to everyone.
So, that's a lot of different games.
Yeah.
To my understanding, one of the more popular games you do play is called Dungeons and Dragons. Can you please explain how this game is played to me?
Yeah, of course. So there's a dungeon master, the DM, and everyone else has a character that they've created themselves. And there's a campaign that goes on based on, and the outcome of the campaign varies on how you roll on your dice. And while I'm not the best DM, I'm a pretty good campaign player in the couple of times that I've played the game. But there are people in the club who are experienced DMs, experienced players, and they're encouraged to share their knowledge with the rest of the members of the club, some of which really want to play the game. So they're always interested whenever we get into that.
So when you say DM, I'm assuming that stands for Dungeon Master?
Yeah.
So do you have a preference between Dungeon Master or player?
Yeah, so I'm not a very good DM. I'm not creative enough to be coming up with all the scenarios. But if somebody comes up with a setting for me, I'll try to do my best to be a good player.
Do you have a personal favorite game you like to play?
At club, yeah. I've recently become a really big fan of that Cards of Insanity game. Just because of the two times that I've played it, I've had completely different outcomes, completely different results. It's luck. It's entirely down to luck. But then again, I also really enjoy when we have kind of just open season game nights. They say bring in something that you want to play with the club, or bring in a video game that we could play multiplayer, and that's always fun to do because I get to share what I'm interested in.
So I know a very popular activity the club hosts are lightsaber duels, one of which I was told took place at Blue Hills down the street. Can you talk a little bit more about that?
Yeah, so originally the club was just a group of nerds who wanted to hang out together, and I say that lovingly. But a big material component of that are lightsabers, because it's so ubiquitous, it's so popular. So we have amassed this collection of prop lightsabers that can be used to duel. And we've gotten special permission from the college to be allowed to use these outside, as long as we're safe, as long as nobody gets hurt. But they're so much fun because some of them, they all light up. Some of them make sounds, and it's just a lot of fun for everybody involved to showcase your skills.
Sounds like a lot of fun. Unfortunately, though, we are out of time. Thank you so much for joining us, Jonah. And if you have any interest in joining the Nerd Empire Club, their meetings are held Tuesdays at 9 p.m. on the Learning Commons. I'm Thomas Crisafili. Please join us again for another edition of Curry Talks.
Quinn Sullivan, and welcome to another edition of Curry Talks, a show where we learn more about the Curry community. Here with me today is junior guest and psych major Connor Burr to tell us more about his experience as a Curry College PAL mentor. The first thing we're all wondering is, what is the PAL mentoring program?
Well, you get paired up with a student from the PAL program, and you have to kind of like walk them through certain things, whether it be questions about what campus life is like, or like help them with their homework, or just even help them with general life skills.
Now, I know that you had a mentor your freshman year, and now you're going into your second semester of mentoring other students. What has that made you as a mentor yourself?
I thought it was very helpful just to have someone to talk to, because I didn't know what I was doing my freshman year, and it really just helped cement that there's people that care on this campus.
Mm-hmm. Now, that's very good of you to take time out of your own day and help others do their work. So what would be your favorite thing about mentoring other students?
I think it's hard to pick a favorite, but I guess maybe trying to tell them that it gets better, because sometimes whether they have like a bad day or have an adverse encounter with a professor, that it does get better. You kind of just have to stick through it.
Mm-hmm. I know a typical meeting lasts about an hour. Could you walk through just like what a typical meeting is with one of your students that you mentor?
Well, we talk about what their weekend was like. Sometimes I'll help them with looking through their grades, help them write emails, things like that. Around the end, I might help them write a paper. Since I used to write a lot, that's one of my specialties that I can help a student with, and my students utilize that.
Mm-hmm. So do you find it difficult to balance your schoolwork with your peers? Like maybe around midterms, I understand that it probably gets very hectic, or finals week, with a lot of kids needing help with all their schoolwork.
Not really, at least for me, because I've been able to manage this entire time, so I can take on adverse workloads.
Mm-hmm. So obviously time management, what we were just talking about.
Yeah.
A lot of students struggle with that. Do you have any study skills that you can recommend, or even just time management skills in general to recommend to anybody?
Maybe not time management, but study skills. I find that there's a lot of really good videos on every single topic. If you have a video that is like based on your topic, just playing in the background, like just as background noise, it could help you increase your knowledge on that subject.
Mm-hmm. Do you guys recommend that at the PAL?
I certainly do.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if all the mentors do, but yeah, I certainly do.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I obviously like the sound of those. Do you think helping others helps you learn more about yourself?
Oh, most certainly, because we're always learning.
Mm-hmm.
It's like it's naive to think that you are never learning about anything.
Mm-hmm. So back to the psychology major, we know that you're one now. Does that help you understand what other students struggle with?
Yeah, it helps me understand a lot what they're going through. I'm also now an education minor.
Mm-hmm.
I picked that up a few weeks ago, so I think it really helps understand what people are going through. I know a lot of different subtle things I could do to help students think more about their work and their time management and just everyday skills.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's all the time we have for today. Thank you, Connor, for joining us on another edition of Curry Talks, and we'll have another show sometime soon.
Hello, and welcome to another edition of Curry Talks. I'm your host, Thomas Crisafili, and this is the show where we learn more about the people in our Curry community. Today's guest is Professor George Herman. He's a PAL professor here at Curry College and is going to talk to us today a little bit more about what a PAL professor entails. Thanks for joining us, Professor.
Well, you're welcome. It's nice to be here, Tom.
So I know you've been at Curry College for 26 years now. What are your responsibilities as a PAL professor?
Well, I have about a dozen or so students usually that I work with. And basically, the idea in PAL is that you meet with these students usually twice a week, maybe 2 or 3 hours a week in total. And it's really whatever the needs of the students are, that's what we do with them. So for some students, it's about reading and writing issues. For some students, it's time management issues. For some students, it's how you deal with classes in general, or problems if you're having them with professors or even with other students. And so it's different with every student what I do. And I always say that sometimes I'm a tutor, sometimes I'm a coach, sometimes I'm a therapist, sometimes I'm a friend, sometimes I'm a teacher. Again, whatever the student needs, that's what I do and work with them.
So the PAL program has been around for over 50 years.
Yeah.
How did the PAL program here at Curry College kind of pique your career interest?
Well, I've always taught. When I got out of college, I taught for a few years as a history teacher in high school. And then I went to the museum school in Boston, and I became an artist, which is what I do. And I taught art for many, many years at a few different colleges. And so I've always taught, and I like working with this age group, college. And so I just sort of, gradually went around to this aspect of teaching. So, like I said, I've been doing this for about 25, 26 years.
So you mentioned that in addition to the PAL program being a place where students can kind of receive help differently academically, why do you find it so satisfying to work with the PAL students?
Well, like I say, the thing is that I can do something different with every student, so it never gets boring in that sense, and it's a challenge. Again, working with people and helping them, particularly at this age, helping them succeed at college and adjust to college in the first place, and deal with problems in their life and in school and so on. And then, the other part of it too is that in many cases, I work with students over the course of 4 years. Students don't have to stay in PAL for that long, but many of the students that I have, I've worked with for 3 or 4 years, so I've gotten to know them and develop relationships with them. So that's another part of the job that I really like, and it's very satisfying.
So do you think that's what's kept you here so long, is the relationship you get to build with the students?
Yeah, I think so, as much as anything, and the other faculty within PAL who I really respect, and they're all talented in their own ways. So making those connections, and then again the connections and relationships with students.
So it sounds like your job at PAL is pretty involved. Do you have any hobbies or activities outside that you do to kind of de-stress?
Well, yeah, like I say, when I'm not teaching at PAL, I have a studio where I do my artwork, and I'm there 4 or 5 days a week. And so that's the main thing that I do is, like I say, I'm an artist, I'm a painter, and I do my work there, and I have exhibits and so on. And so, that's the main other thing. And then, beyond that, I play a lot of tennis. I always play sports. And then, just the normal things, watching movies, TV shows, hanging out with my family.
It sounds like you have a lot of different ways to kind of de-stress.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for your time, Professor Herman. We're out of time.
Okay.
For more information about PAL, please email the PAL Center. I'm Thomas Crisafili. Please join us again for another edition of Curry Talks. Curry Talks. I'm Thomas Crucifili, and this is the show where we learn more about the Curry community. Today's guest is Mike Ouellette, one of Curry's resident assistants for Lombard Hall, and he is here to talk about the challenges and rewards of being an RA on campus and how to become one. Thanks for joining us, Mike.
Of course.
Why did you choose to be an RA?
Man, so first I started with a roommate, right? Just like everybody else, you don't start in a single. Most of the time you don't start in a single. I had a roommate, and during that time we just really didn't connect as roommates. We did and we didn't. There was just some things, and I just needed like stuff in order. I'm a very organized person, so for one reason I did for the single, and for another reason, we'll get to those reasons, but it's just mainly the single, and it just seemed like a really good experience to become a leader, get mature, learn some time management techniques, because I've never been more organized in my life until I became an RA.
Makes a lot of sense. Being a resident assistant, it comes with a few perks, as you said. Single, moving in early, you do get discounted room and board. Can you expand on a few of those a little bit more?
Yeah, so actually it's 80% off room and board and your meal plan. So that was, it used to be only 70% for room and board. So the fact that it's 80% for room and board and your meal plan is kind of crazy. The single is a great bonus, and I would have applied for a single anyway, even if I didn't become an RA, but like I said, the role has its benefits. I made a lot of new friends with the RA role. People look at me as a more trustworthy person because of the fact that I'm an RA and I know how to keep a trust within a system. So there's a lot of benefits to it.
It sounds pretty nice. I imagine that discount off the price is pretty nice as well. Do you feel that you're not treated as just another student, or you treated like more as someone with like a leadership role on campus?
Well, I'm definitely treated as somebody with a leadership role. As you know, I'm also a station manager over at the radio station, and I also have a lot of achievements. So people look really highly to me as a leader in terms of in the dorm or anywhere on campus, honestly. Anytime somebody sees me, they just assume that I'm busy and I'm working on something, and I'm always doing something, as you know. So it's, yeah, they look at me very, very differently than other people.
So one of your key responsibilities as a resident assistant is to deal with issues that arise in dorm halls. What are the most common issues you deal with?
Oh, bathrooms. There's a lot. There's a lot of issues in the bathroom. Just like not clean. Somebody leaving their trash in the hallway is sometimes an issue that I deal with. There's been a couple instances where I deal with like roommate disagreements and had to do some mediations, which those are not fun, but you have to do it in this role. And they're painful. They're like 10, 15 minutes sometimes an hour, so they get painful. But I learn a lot about the person during that too. So then after having to deal with all these issues, I know how to connect with that person after. So it actually has its benefits after that too.
So I know that's part of your job as a resident assistant, but it probably gets a little tiring sometimes. How can students best respect their RAs?
Honestly, students can best respect their RAs if they, just come to the events that I actually, at the end of the day, I care if you come to my events, but also I just want to know that you're good. I want to know that you're doing good. So like when I'm checking in on you, I want you to respond to me and tell me I'm good. Classes are like this. I'm participating in this sort of thing, like sports, maybe an academic club or something like that. But it's all about, yeah, like I said, that's what I care the most about is when they let me know how they're doing. Because the worst thing to me is when I don't know how they're doing. Like that just, because then how do I know?
So thank you very much for your time. We're almost out of time here, Mike. Again, thank you for joining us. If you're interested in becoming a resident assistant, email residencelife@reslife.curry.edu. I'm Thomas Crucifili. Please join me again for another edition of Curry Talks.
Hi, and welcome to Curry Talks. I'm your host, Alex Nason, and this is a show where we learn more about each other in the Curry community. Today's guest is Lily Smith. Lily's a junior and a nursing major who works at the Student Activities Office. She's here to talk about events on campus and the process that goes into putting together events that we all love here at Curry. Welcome, Lily. How did you get to want to help plan events at Curry?
So I originally became an orientation leader for the campus, and then after that summer session ended, they asked me to continue throughout the school year in the Student Activities Office.
That's amazing to hear. Events have been a big part of campus for as long as I can remember. I understand you're an orientation leader over the summer. I know that there are upperclassmen who help in the incoming first years adjust to life on campus and learn a little more about Curry. Can you talk about that a little bit and what it was like to sort of be orientation leader?
Yeah, so I really think it was a great experience. I did 1 year as an orientation leader and then 1 year as an orientation coordinator, so I kind of ran the whole program and oversaw all the orientation leaders. Basically, we just do like events to help the incoming class get to know each other and create those like interrelationships that you kind of don't have when you first come to college. And then just help them get like acquainted to campus. We take them on tours and show them how to find their classes and all that good stuff.
That sounds like a wonderful experience and a great thing to leave an impact on campus. It looks like you're busy during the summer, but I know you're also busy during this time of year as well. I know you recently hosted an SAO Saturday where students got to come and decorate Halloween cookies. What are some other events you'd like to see on campus?
Well, I really love the giving back, like Curry Cares events and things like that. But I think people love things that they can get like a takeaway from. So we gave away goodie bags. People loved that. Little like things like T-shirts, stuff like that. People love little keepsakes.
Yeah, that sounds like a lot of fun. How do you know what students want out of an event?
We do surveys throughout the year. We have like question and poll boxes. We send out constant contact emails. So basically we're just always looking for input from the students in any way that we can get it to give them what they want to see on campus.
That's a good idea. It sounds like a really good way to make sure that students' voices are like really heard. I was wondering, what's one thing you'd hope to make life easier for the students to know what's happening on campus?
Like I said, we have the constant contact, so the Purple Press every Sunday at 8 is a great way for people to know what's going on campus. But a lot of people sometimes don't check their email, so we like to also post it on our social media accounts, such as like Instagram and Facebook and things like that. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that's a great system in place to make sure that we all know what's happening. I was also looking ahead into next semester, and I'm wondering, what are some events that you're looking forward to for the spring?
My favorite spring event has to be Spring Weekend. I love it. It's always a great time on campus and kind of like a kickoff right before finals.
Yeah, I mean, that's really cool. I was also wondering, to anyone sort of looking forward to maybe they're considering being part of the SAO in their future, what would you say to them as advice?
I would say definitely do it. It's a great way to get involved. It doesn't require that much like effort on your part. Like when you're super busy, you're like, oh, I don't have time for that, but it doesn't really require that much time, but it gets you so involved in so many different ways that I would say do it.
Would you recommend doing it for like your whole?
Yeah, I think it's really good to start out doing it as a freshman because then you can see all of the different areas to build and growth within the program, within like also your time at Curry.
Yeah, that sounds a lot of fun. Remember that you can follow student activities at SAO Curry or SAO at Curry on Instagram, and make sure to keep out a good lookout for the Purple Press in your emails every Sunday at 8 p.m. for upcoming events this week. Well, thank you for your time, Lily.
Thank you
I'm
for
Alex
having me.
Nason, and please join me again for another edition of Curry Talks.